what's up guys? DeElla with Hoberg Homes, and thanks for being here today. And this is a topic that I get so many questions about, and it's paint. It's one of the easiest, cheapest, most DIY friendly project that you can do to improve your home. And it can get really confusing. You go to this big box store and there's hundreds of different types of paint, and it's so hard to know what you need to use and where. So let's get to it and let's learn all about paint. What's up guys? Today we are learning all about paint. And before we even get to paint, we have to look at primer. And primer is a base coat that you use to treat a surface that's maybe porous or has staining. And it really makes sure that the paint is going to absolutely adhere to that surface. And it's great for blocking stains and smells. And it's really only necessary if you're changing colors or you're in a new surface. So when to prime and when not to prime. If you've got a brand new surface, you're doing a drastic change in color, there's stains, bad smells, or it's a really shiny surface, you definitely should prime. And the paint and primer combos are not the same as using a primer. And then when you don't need to prime is when you're doing a similar color to the surface that you've already got. You have a surface with good adhesion, or previously painted surfaces don't normally need to be primed. And you know what? No paint job is going to be good if you're not prepping properly. So it's really super important to prep your surfaces. Go ahead and rough them up with some sandpaper, make sure all that dust comes off, clean every surface really well with something called TSP or another degreaser. Prime if necessary, and then you want to tape off your surrounding surfaces and make sure that you have drop cloths and whatever else that you need. Now, here's a question I get, and do I use water-based paint or oil-based paint? What's the difference between water-based and latex? So oil-based paint, first of all, is not available in every state. It definitely is smelly, and it's going to take more cleanup work with chemicals. So mineral spirits or paint thinner to clean your brushes, and it's definitely harder to get off of surfaces once it's on there. However, it can be a really good option for places that you need high durability, like cabinets and trim. Now, water-based paints are going to be the go-to. This is what most people are going to use for 90% of your painting projects. The nice thing about water-based paints, which are also called latex paints or acrylic paints, is that it's just soap and water cleanup. You don't have to have any special chemicals. It smells a lot lower. The smell level is a lot lower. And those are called VOCs, and some even have 0 VOCs. And the formulas keep getting better and better. So you can use water-based paints on pretty much every surface that you could possibly think of. Now, the biggest question that I get is, what sheen do I use? And when is it appropriate? So I want to start with flat or matte paint. And this is having a very low sheen to it, very low luster. This is absolutely the best paint that you can use if you have a surface that's not perfect. So if you're looking to repaint your home for sale and your walls are not absolutely pristine, go with flat or matte. And it's a more modern look. We're seeing this pretty much everywhere right now. You're not seeing so many shiny walls. The next is Eggshell, and it's going to give you a similar look to a matte finish, but it's got a little bit more of a luster to it. Obviously, think about an egg. It covers up imperfections on walls pretty well, and it's a little bit more scrubbable than a matte finish. So this is a really good one just for everyday life. The third one is Satin Finish, and it has more of a luster to it. It is more scrubbable and more durable. It's good for very specific areas. If you're going to have any moisture, so in a bathroom, you could use satin. I still don't, but you could. You can also use it on cabinets and trim. And then SemiGloss, this is what I use on my trim work. So it's great for doors, trim. It's very durable and scrubbable. And finally is HighGloss. I never use HighGloss, like ever, ever, ever. However, you can use HighGloss on your trim. You can use it on furniture. You can even use a HighGloss paint to paint something like an appliance. But remember, it will show every little bump, every little thing. And so you have to make sure your prep work is extraordinary for HighGloss. And then let's get into some of these more specialty paints. So chalk paint, it's really popular with DIYers, and it's a great option if you want more of a rustic look. It's a very matte finish. It's easy to use, and that's why so many DIYers love it. Very little prep work. You have to make sure you have a smooth, clean surface, but you don't necessarily have to do anything else other than that. It's really good, and it's really made for furniture. You can paint a whole wall with it, but why would you? And then along with chalk paint, and this is newer on the market, it's called mineral paint. You can find this fusion paint on Amazon and on their website, but you can also find it at some antique malls and things like that. So people are using this a lot on furniture, cabinets. Prep work is almost identical to chalk paint. However, this paint is a little bit thinner, so it goes on nicer and you're not seeing as many brush marks. But just like with chalk paint, you can use waxes and other decorative finishes on top as well. And you can distress this. A lot of people distress chalk paint. You can distress mineral paint. It's just a little bit harder to do. One of my favorite things in the whole world is spray paint. Now, it has its ups and downs, right? It can be messy, and you really have to make sure that you are either outside or you've got on a good respirator. But spray paint will stick to pretty much anything. So metal, wicker, rattan, anything really, plastic. So you can change the color of any of those things. A couple of tips on spray paint. Make sure, obviously, you're in a well-ventilated area, you wear your respirator, and you go about 12 or so inches above whatever you're painting in a back and forth motion, and thin, even layers is better than a whole lot of paint at once, because it will drip and it's hard to get those drips out. So in conclusion, what you got to do is you have to do your prep work. It's the hardest, most tedious part of painting, but it's the thing that makes it look good. You need to choose the right paint for your situation, and definitely keep sheen in mind. And what I always recommend is either digitally or in a notebook somewhere, make sure you keep all of your paint colors and sheens in a record so that you can refer back if you need to buy paint for touch-up. So best of luck in all of your painting projects. You know, I'm always here. If you have a question, you can either give me a call at 678-267-9861 or shoot me a message. And don't forget to like and subscribe. All right, so long for now, and I'll see you next time for some more real talk on real estate.